All right. Talkin Tires, episode 3. Obviously, we just came off a big week at the Grand Nationals over here in Tulsa over at the Expo Square. But, man, it's been a crazy, 3-4 weeks getting ready for that event. And now we're, 5 days out, and we're still going and still trying to get that content not only loaded and fine-tuned, but also implemented into the magazine and into online and everything that comes with, crowning titles and getting people into those history books and trying to finalize that stuff. So busy couple of weeks for us still before we can take some time off and get to the holidays. But in the meantime, Steven and I are going to jump on here and talk about, some of our favorite moments from the week in Tulsa, and talk about some of the craziness that happened to him and I, and some things we just wish were better, and things that we believe are just what makes Grants the greatest race on earth. So enjoy the episode. Hopefully we're not too scatterbrained. We are still recovering, and but yeah, bear with us, and hopefully it goes good. Enjoy. Talkin Tires, episode 3.
Yeah, 3.5, really.
Full disclosure, we tried to do it here in Tulsa, and that file's gone. We don't know where it is.
Just disappeared like our sanity from the week of Grant.
I mean, it was 2 days after Grant, so we can't be held accountable for our actions then.
I mean, it was my first day off. I had a shoot on Monday too at Hardesty, so I was just right there in it still.
Yeah, you got the short end of the stick going past Grands and coming to the headquarters to shoot Stay Strong.
Yeah, but it was super fun though. Like, the team is rad, and I didn't know most of the I know some of them, but not all of them. And then Marco and Gunner, I got to actually meet them and whatnot. Really like the brand. Everybody was really excited. They seemed to have fun as a team, and it made my job way easier. So I had a great time. So can't complain.
Yeah, and that team's mainly seems like they're heavy on the Argentinians and the Italians.
In French. We had
French. Okay.
We had 8 riders there. They've got a new pickup that I am not at liberty to disclose just yet, but they'll be making an announcement. So that was cool too. To shoot awesome for them.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, man, we're 5 days past Grands. I was telling Steven before we got started, you're here through Tuesday, left like mid morning or whatever it is, and right like 2 hours after you left, my body took a turn. I mean, full Grands flu. Like, I thankfully broke that fever pretty quick, but man, it was rough there for 12-15 hours. So
yeah, I mean, I still have all of my stuff right here: Dayquil, lozenges, and nasal spray. I had to run all of it just now before this so I could sound somewhat normal before we start.
Yeah, my blowing my nose is like 60-40 snot and blood. I'm at that point in the healing process, so it's a good time.
Yeah, you to hydrate that thing, man. Get the saline solution or medicated one to clear it out. This ain't my first rodeo, man.
Yeah, I'll learn someday.
No, I mean, if we were really going to learn, we would actually just wear a mask and then be healthy right from the start.
21 or 22 or 2020 and 2021 were the best I've felt at Grands ever.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like our first day in, well, you were there all like build week and everything, documenting things, but my first day in the arena was Monday evening, and some of the build crew was cleaning things up, and the concrete section in the middle was just scattered with dust, and they were sweeping that, and with nobody else in the arena, that stuff was just hanging, and I would just step into a cloud and just straight to the brain and just dust. And so right from the start, I was like, oh, I'm screwed. I'm getting sick. This is good.
Yeah, but all in all, I thought, great 5 days in the expo. There were 6 for whatever it was, but I mean, so much went down that I kind of lost track. But I do have a kind of a mental list of stuff that I'd love for us to talk about and break down.
Yeah.
Kicking off with practice.
We
talking about practice. The flips from Josh Jolly and Marshall Gerke. I mean, that was late into the practice day, and we were already like spent after the chaos that is pro practice. But then the world champ and the major just came out swinging.
Yeah, I just spent is the right way to put it. Like I saw that sort of starting to happen, and I was standing over by turn 2 and was like, nah, they got it. They'll shoot it. Wes and everybody, Bianca and Justin are over there. Somebody's gonna get it. I'll be fine. So yeah, I did get an interesting perspective though. When Marshall went by the first time when he did the front flip, he was all like normal Marshall, like all excited and stuff, and he like yelled something at me as he pedals around as he was getting into turn 2. And then he came back again, and I think I was sitting, like Chrissy Piper and Billy were sitting there, and we were talking. And Marshall goes by again, and I didn't know what he was doing. It was when he was going for the backflip, and he was just laser locked, like focused, and was like, oh. I mean, he was excited and happy and messing around for the front flip. I don't know what he's going to pull out now, but that backflip with a helmet on, like a full face of helmet, and same thing with Jolly. Jolly was in goggles.
Yeah.
So like you're trying to spot your landing and you can't see much at all. So I understand why they were pretty zoned in there.
Yeah, that was gnarly. Definitely a cool moment to not excite the crowd. People were pretty active throughout the crowd as new lines were being tested, but that definitely got a pop throughout the expo.
Yeah.
A lot of people run into the grandstands when they heard what was going on.
Yeah.
Shoot. And then pro practice, we skipped right over that. You had a cool view of it, as in like normally pros aren't really doing a lot of track work at the grants. They're maybe sessioning the rhythm section and then making sure they know what the pro set holds, and then straight to the hill for gates and first straights. But this year we have a lot of people sitting on that second straight, gearing up for that pro set.
Yeah, and the third straight too. Like the women had, like, some of them were taking the pro set, but a lot of them weren't. And it wasn't an easy third straight rhythm section to get dialed in, and there were people who like Molly had a really, really good third straight. Lauren had a good one too. And so like it took a lot of effort there, and pros, like a lot of them have been doing this since they were little kids. So it's not like, this is always my mindset too, is like I roll into a race, especially a built track where everyone's starting from zero. It's not like we've never not seen a double. Like we know how a double rides. You can look at it and be like, oh, that's deep. It's going to probably ride like this. And we're pretty good at guessing how a track's going to ride. So it takes a couple laps to feel it out and really just roll around and see it. But there was a big difference this year because the track was just a little bit more technical. It was deeper, it was steeper stuff, dog leg in the third straight. So yeah, and then from shooting, it's really tough to run around because people are so scattered everywhere. Gates, second straight, third straight, whatever, sitting there in that cutoff between the last straight and the first straight. So it's tough in an indoor race when you have lights set up to get those shots. So I always forget it every year at Grand to forget that's how it goes. So I like fight my way through, like, oh, pro double, oh wait, over there, oh. And then I just end up giving up on the flashes and just running around getting more artsy stuff like headshots or like not necessarily headshots, but like handids of people sitting on the track and things like that. Cause those are things that people like to see too. So
yeah, definitely. And that grants practice also gives us the first look at some new kits that people are going to ride, new helmets. Like Isaac Kennedy had that chrome fly lid with the electric blue chase graphics, but then also the Lux white kind of imprinted in it. And then Molly's new daylight bike, which was piece of art essentially, with her all blue kit. Like some of those things. You got a really good photo of Isaac's chrome lid on practice day with that
Yeah.
lens you were renting, right?
Yeah. I rented a lens. It's a 50 1.2 because I knew it was going to be dim in that building, and excuse me, and I wanted to get something that could be a little bit more artsy. And I rented an 85 1.2 at the World Cup in Tulsa. Loved it and wanted to play with this one because I've been looking at getting one of those more artsy lenses and going back and forth between those two in my head. But it was beautiful for that. Like I was saying, I kind of gave up on the flashes, which are significantly different settings than if I'm running around without flashes. But that lens made it like I was able to get a really, really like buttery, smooth drop off in the depth of field and stuff. And everything was amazing. Like I was so stoked on that lens. It worked great. Um, and I got a lot of good stuff with that helmet. I've got probably like 10 shots of Isaac's like shoulders up, just doing different things, like looking at the track or whatever. And probably I'll just die on my hard drive, but I like them. So there's that. Maybe I'll throw it in a post again next week or something. I don't know.
Nice. Yeah, that was a fun one. Like it was honestly just a fun surprise. Like no one really
had
any like heads up or anything. So that was a cool one. Another cool helmet that was kind of displayed. It wasn't on track, but up at the fly booth, Fly Racing and Ray Hudson gave Joris the world champ and gold medal custom painted helmet, which is crazy because Fly has never done. There's been Fly custom painted helmets, but never by Fly. So to have Fly make that and create that and then present it to Joris at the Grands after the year he's had, I mean, that was a big moment for the brand itself, but also between, Joris has been racing Fly for a decade, for a full 10 years. So
yeah,
definitely cool to see that recognition, and huge shout out to Ray for giving me the heads up on that and getting me up there for some content with that. But yeah, I mean, that thing is beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't even get to see it. I saw the photos you had taken about it, and you gave me a little bit of a rundown on that, and I was jealous. Like that's really cool. Like that you got to shoot it. Like it's a really cool helmet, and I didn't get to like put my hands on it and actually see all the details because there's so many little things that go into custom helmets like that, especially one of like that much weight that you don't necessarily see. Like I know all the Red Bull helmets are all like from a distance, they're just like blue and silver, but you get in there and you can get close and you can see like some really like ghosted in like images and things that are details specific to the riders and things like that. And it's always so cool to see the types of things that the artists that do these things work in there. And like there was some of that stuff in some of the Olympic bikes, like Ronan did some really cool stuff with the S² bikes that were at the Olympics, and like Lauren had a custom detail and her stickers and stuff like that. So it's really rad to see things like that. And with a year like Joris has had, makes sense that they finally kind of like broke their thing and were like, we're gonna do this ourselves. So yeah, it's really the brands backing their riders like that.
Definitely. Next on the list is a couple team changes. Obviously, that one of the major ones in the pro classes was Corey Reed going to Supercross, debuting it like Thursday morning. Was in just a regular kit on Friday or on Wednesday for practice, and then jumped in. Yeah, that morning warm up on Thursday. Showed up with a Supercross kit, which was sick. He ended up third in Vet Pro, I believe, for the overall.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which is awesome to see for Corey. Like, he's an awesome dude. Stoked to see him get on a team, get a factory ride. So, but yeah, then there's just the kind of a lot of the Olympians, at least, their contracts are set. Like, there's not too many switches. I know you said one person's joining the Stay Strong crew, but like a lot of those guys are pretty set in stone. It's the, maybe B main consistent, jumps into the A main every once in a while. Those riders, I'm interested to see who's going to be jumping to different brands and new looks for next year.
Right. Yeah. There are a lot that are locked in, and that's pretty rare, honestly. Like it seems like, especially nowadays, people and where we're at in the sport. Like it's an Olympic year. You would think this would be where a lot of changes are being made as people are like, okay, like you're maybe not going to be our next generation going to the Olympics, so we'll go in a new direction and build with somebody. Excuse me. I'm still don't have my voice fully. But yeah, it's interesting to see that there aren't that many changes. There's some that are happening, but not as many as I expected. And I'm waiting for some that I'm not like I wasn't expecting, or somebody who slipped through the cracks and be like, oh yeah, them or whatever. And there's going to be some changes and some shakeups, and I'm sure in like some of the more advanced amateurs, there's going to be some shakeups in there. But yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen more of it yet. And maybe that's just contracts that need to be fulfilled through grands,
Yeah.
and they can shift, or their contract is through December 31st, and they're holding to that, and then January 1 we'll see some announcements or something like that. But curious to see how it goes. So there's going to be some changes.
Yeah, I wonder if this is the year that maybe some internal teams and brands makes the switch. So like obviously Fly, we're sponsored by Fly and they advertise in the magazine. So I wonder if Fly joins a couple factory teams or different brands for their kits, or if people move away and switch from Troy Lee to Thor, or like the Send It crews and all Thor. Do they make a switch? Like what internal just look changes will happen? And that's always a fun one to figure out the first race of the year. Like, oh, what is this kit? Like,
or a grands like during the night show, as we're like, who is that? Oh crap, I needed to shoot them.
Right.
Really frustrating. So like there was a couple of riders this weekend that I was needing to get content of, and they would go by like, oh, that's right, they're in that kit now. Okay, gotta try to remember that one. But
yeah, mine was Delaney Vaughn in that regard. The new Biolab kits. Oh, I guess Corbin made the jump from Daylight to Biolab. But the Biolab and Supercross kits, same fly pants, that white and blue color scheme, like they're very similar. So I was struggling with that, trying to differentiate Delaney and Lexi. Their helmets make it a little bit easier just because the Supercross crew has those helmets for the entire team. But yeah, that one threw me through a loop for a while.
Yeah. And then there's people like Molly who switch up their kits day to day. Wood does it, at least used to do it, doesn't so much with the rainbow jersey, but those are always like Molly. For some reason, I can't get Molly like when she changes, but she like Elise will keep the same helmet because she's got a custom helmet, but Molly has like full separate helmets for different kits. So like normally that stays the same. I've told her so many times, like, I didn't see you all practice, and now I figured out you're in blue today or white or whatever. That throws me off. I can't. She's out front a lot, so I should be able to get that quicker, but just throws me off.
Yeah. And we didn't see too many kit changes or kit debuts for the night show.
Yeah.
I think last year in the NAG 5 Challenge, we saw a hint at Drew's new kit for that Send It LSG squad. But not too many this, if any at all, this year. Maybe a switch in pants for Elise and Joris with the rainbow stripes, but I mean the night show is always special because of that. Of like, okay, there's a new debut. I think some of the amateurs, especially the Impact crew, switched their kits from during the day to night show, which was cool to see. But
I didn't catch that initially because I was looking for that white and gold that they were running, and I'm big fan of that. Like Fly nailed it with that one, and then Impact matching their jerseys to those pants, absolutely nailed it. It's one of my favorites that's out there. But I totally didn't catch that switch. I was like, oh wait, it was one of those where I was like, wait, who was that? It just went by. Oh yeah, you gotta get my head around that one because it's a big shift. It's not like, all right, we went from like one of our main colors to our other main color. Like they went to like it's almost like a tie-dye from like white and gold. So it was
a
big shift, but they both look good. So like they nailed it with those.
Yeah. And speaking of impact, Rita Fedula in the NAG 5 women class, she went full Bethany Shriver after the Olympics, like full jelly leg at the finish line. Like,
Yeah.
big stretch, came unclipped with both feet and just kind of survived until she
Just
couldn't anymore.
ran the tank to empty.
Right, right. And she was like just laying in the finish line run out, like, I'm woo, I won. Like, can't get up though.
Yeah, it's crazy. I had a couple of those with like the World Cups, right? Romain when he won in Glasgow, just crumpled into the little barrier stop right there, and I was like trying to shove my camera in and around and get shots of him, and it's cool because like there's so much emotion in those moments because they have given everything that like you're getting such genuine moments in their faces and things like that if you can get there and get that angle. But it's cool to see, and like that's the kind of thing that speaks to me, like we've discussed. Like those moments that I really like to even just be there for, just to take that in. So,
Yeah, definitely. And another one of those moments, wasn't quite jelly legged or giving it his all, but he definitely gave his all. Three wins in the total point main event to get the title. Cam Wood, 2024's national number 1 pro.
definitive.
Super stoked for Cam. Well deserving. Like after his Olympic debut this year, battling with shoulder and different injuries in the years past, and then getting it done with, I believe, only 5 wins. Grand's making it his 5th win on the series.
Oh,
Like hell of a year. I would have liked one of the other contenders in the main event. It was awesome.
yeah,
Like rookie pro Drew got in there and had a shot, outside shot, but it still had a shot as a rookie. Awesome. Like what an accomplishment. But
yeah.
I would have liked a little bit more spice in those 3 main events. But he defeated outright the gold medalist, defending 6-time national number 1, like Joris. Like he got some redemption in that from years past, and man, I mean, well deserved for the Mongoose crew.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he was flawless on the day. Like he did what he had to do. Like we talked about in previous episodes, it's like he's who shows up on the day, and Cam showed up and delivered, and he hit his marks and he did everything that he needed to do. The other guys fell short in different ways. Isaac going out in quarters, and then Cam Larson going out in the semi. It's a bummer to see, but that's like I think we all wanted to see that. And if we had Wood, Larson, Isaac, and Drew in the gate, that's 4 of the 8 there in the main. That would have been a real dicey main because they're going to be next to each other, rotating gates and seeing how that all washes out. And there's some drama in there from previous races and things like that, and just general rivalry. So I think we all really, really wanted to see that, but it's racing. Like stuff happens. And some days you just get caught up. Isaac got caught up in turn 1 and then just got caught in the pack and wasn't able to find a line to get to the line to stretch for it, and got knocked out. And yeah, it was a bummer as a fan because I really wanted to see that, but that's why we love the sport though. Like you gotta hit your marks, you gotta do everything, you gotta be spot on and everything, and those guys fell short in different ways. So
Yeah, and like and a big Isaac fan too. Like but when he went out and gave a little extra love to Jordan Callum at the finish line run out, like came back to the finish line to check his video, and like rightfully he's bummed and he's upset. But I mean, that gave a little excitement to the crowd in its own right of like, oh crap, like what just happened? Like, and I'm sure Isaac is replaying that race and that lap over and over in his mind, and hopefully he just pushes through and comes back stronger next year. But man, that I didn't even realize it happened at first. I was like, oh yeah, he got him at the line, whatever. And it's close. Two tire lengths, like that's it.
And Isaac was solidly in 4th going into turn 3.
Yeah.
He ran a little bit wide in turn 3 and left the door open just a little bit, and then in trying to keep that momentum so he could make the drive to the finish line, he ended up on that outside, and that's where Jordan was. Jordan was hanging on that line, and Isaac was coming up, and Isaac just didn't have anywhere to go. And I don't even know who it was that got him at the line, but
it was one of the Stay Strong crew. I think it was Molina.
Oh yeah. So yeah, then I mean Chala's a super good corner. So
Yeah,
like he was like, yeah, okay, cool. 290s, I got this. So that makes sense. But yeah, Isaac was just kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time for when he needed it the most and didn't work out for him. Because like had Jordan not been there, like Isaac probably would have been able to keep the momentum and keep going and probably stretch for it and got it. But I mean, it's racing. That's how it goes. There's people in the way sometimes, and that's why the guy in front gets to choose his line.
definitely. Yeah. And I mean, Jordan Callum had a hell of a 2 race days. Like through
Yeah,
rocks, he was impressing us. And then, I mean, he had that third straight dialed in. Like he was, I think second straight, he performed a little bit better. And we saw a few passes down the third straight at his expense, but still had a great showing on those race days. So nothing against Callum either. Like he deserved that third place and he was rightfully there. And yeah, it just shakes out that way. But
yeah, yeah. To Jordan's credit, like he was kind of sneaky in that. Like he's been putting in a lot of work and he's getting there. And as he's chipping away, it's harder to get the credit when you don't just come out of the gate and just like, what's up? This is my year, and just like smash everybody at like the first race or something like that, or like really establish yourself from previous years or something like that. But Jordan's just been chipping away and getting there and was put out Isaac. So like it's a big one, and I'm sure cycling is kind of taking some notes there too to be like, oh, okay, Jordan's coming up in this. All right, let's keep some eyes on him more.
yeah, definitely. Um, Over on the women's side, I mean, we had 2 racers that were dominant throughout the entire race day, and they were made an effort in the pro show. But Peyton Ridenauer and Molly Simpson, I mean, they were dominant throughout the race days. I think Peyton had the fastest laps, had, in my opinion, the fastest third straight. At least from just eye shot, like
Yeah.
visually, it looked like it was the fastest. Um, and Molly definitely made it the title chase a little spicy with that race of champions win.
Yeah, that's they. I mean, we knew that they were going to show up, and then the rest of the girls too, Delaney, Lexi, they were all in there, and like we've talked about it several times on and off this. Like the girls have gotten so deep now. It's not you show up and like, oh, Lisa's got this locked up. Like it's become like, oh geez, like all right, let's see who's ready for this lap. And it's super cool to see that happening. And then, as we've said before on this, Elise just able to just be like, all right, cool. Yep, that's what's happening. Sweet. Well, let me turn it up for this one. And Elise just doing Elise things.
Yeah, at least she's got to have just like a mental note, like, oh, 3 main event. Okay, I'm just gonna take the top spot. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
whatever.
That'll be easy enough.
Yeah.
But after racing, like the next day, I think I had a quick chat with Molly, and she was talking about how she's like, I was doing really good, and then just Elise is just Elise. And I was like, yeah, like, dude, don't give yourself some credit. Like, you and the rest of them are like a decade behind in experience. And Molly was like, yeah, I know, but like, we always really want to do good and we beat ourselves up. Second place is a loss to everybody. So she's like, yeah, I know, but like, I really wanted to do good. And like, and she did, but yeah, like that racer mindset of like, if you're not first, you're last, because when everybody's got the wins going in, you need to win again.
Yeah.
But she's like, yeah, I know, I need to dial it back, because like it is so hard to compete with Elise when she's got that much experience over everybody else in that group.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Molly finishing the season second overall with only coming into the series really for the Derby City Nationals. I mean, she went
Really?
4 wins in a row from Derby through Legacy, locked those wins up, and then obviously Texas didn't go quite as planned, and then into the last couple of race days. I mean, that race champions win, I mean, was
Big.
that was a huge win. And now Elise didn't need that score. She was maxed out. So she was just kind of playing blocker and, made an attempt in the last turn to see if she could sneak her wheel in there for another spot on the podium. But man, I mean, Molly really came in strong after the Olympics and showed us that she was still here to play. And, big hill, small hill, she's a racer.
Yeah, she's definitely here for it. It's been really cool to watch the progress made by all these girls in the last really couple of years. Everybody started feeding off of each other and turning it up. So it's really cool to see this. And like Molly's had an amazing year. Olympics, made the final. Didn't do as great as she wanted to, didn't come away with a medal, but I mean, dude, the Olympic final is pretty impressive, especially for your first one, and I'm sure she'll have more. So yeah, it's cool to see this in the setup that this is going to all create going forward into next year and in the next few years.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, with all the excitement on Friday, the getting that content loaded or edited overnight and then straight into the Grands amateur side, that's the craziest 2 days like swing, because you have rock, knockout rounds and mains, maybe 45 minutes before the pro show starts. Get everything, pro show finishes, you're at the podium for the overalls and everything, the end to the pro series, and then you work. I stayed throughout the clock, get ready for Grands, or get the pros aside and posted and get ready for Grands, and then you're just in like Moto 1 and 2 for Grands. It's like, oh shoot. like halfway through the day, I'm like, okay, I got no other ideas, man. I got nothing.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this on the infields with many different courses. Like there's those shots you have to get that are like the stereotypical action shots of like down at the bottom of the corner shooting up as they're kind of coming over the top, or like the first jump. And so like we have set marks that we have to kind of hit at every track. And so it gets old. Like some tracks have different quirky things, but like we still have to go kind of hit those. And then from there, once we've kind of done the greatest hits of like our angles, we have to, we just, for our own sanity, have to start getting creative. And like this year, I was doing it a little bit differently. Instead of like bouncing around as much as I used to, I kind of was like staying in one spot and be like, I'm going to get all of my first jump stuff now, and then shoot it from all kinds of different angles, like this side, that side, go long across the track and try to do that. So it was just trying to spice it up for me rather than like moving my lights and everything around so much. But I mean, I still ended up circling back around and doing the same stuff again, trying not to get hit.
Yeah. What a jump and a hurdle for you, man.
Twice. I almost got. Yeah. I had Katie Brink come off that step double into turn 2, trying to take out my legs, and then I didn't even see that one coming. I heard it because I shot. She was in like battling for third, I think, and I shot first place coming over the jump, and just heard something. And just as I was like looking, I was able to like kind of like quick feed it away. I think it was able to get away with it, but I wasn't aware enough to not. And then semis for Grands, I had Gage Komalicki just come straight at me off that double into the last turn, and I got away, and they caught my vest. Like I got the shot of them, just giant eyes staring at me, coming diagonal off that jump, and got the camera out of the way and started to spin, and they caught the pocket of my vest as Gage went down. At least just got Caden to send me that clip too, so I'll be throwing together a couple of those for a post.
Nice. Yeah, I mean it's a dangerous life out there in the infield. Like,
oh yeah, I mean,
for us and flashes. Like,
yeah. I was just having a conversation with the guy I work with in mountain bike stuff about flashes, and how the stuff I have is like in my sweet spot of like the kind of light that I want, but it's still cheap enough that I can sacrifice it if I have to. Like, it's not gonna end my weekend if I lose a flash. I can go buy another one for relatively cheap, but yeah, man, it's dangerous out there. And then so many good shots from like standing on the like in the danger zone of like a turn, where like if somebody's getting punted, they're coming straight at you. Like I shot ROC, or not ROC, Nag 5 from there for one of them.
Yeah.
And like, I'm gonna get taken out right now.
Yeah, and honestly, like this year there weren't too many, over the top, quote unquote danger zone blasts. Like I think we had one in the amateur knockout rounds. I want to say quarters or semis. out of the second turn. But then anything in the first turn was right at the apex, up and over the middle of the turn. Last turn maybe had one off into the concrete on the fence line, but really not a lot. Like to the point where later in the week I was like, I can stand here safely. Like, and it's not happening so often. It's like different spots. It's like if it happens, it's gonna happen right here. I know it's gonna come. Like it's totally fine. But
yeah, and then the nature of I think the track was big. Like we had plenty of space, so people could get hit, which would potentially be over a corner in other builds and other layouts. But we had so much room in these corners that there was enough room for somebody to get hit and then still fumble their way around the top and not go over.
Yeah, or they were so pitched side, or the turns were so steep they'd fall down instead of going up, like we saw in the first turn a lot.
Yeah, that's a good point too. There's and then into that, I think talking to Sean Day about how his day went, he was talking about how the triple was a lot more tricky for people than I was expecting. And I think that played a role into it too, where like normally everybody's kind of like come over a jump into the corner, fall in line, you know where you're at. And I think people were bonking or getting it clean, and it was adjusting their track positions that they didn't necessarily expect. So people were finding themselves in different positions in the corner that created a lot of chaos.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, a quick shout out to Sean Day, like heartbreaker to see him go out in eights, but dude, I mean, what a good head on his shoulders I saw him maybe 15, 20 minutes after it up at the full tilt booth. And immediately he's like, okay, so who's in the title hunt now? Is it Wyatt? Is it Eli? Like who's got it next? Super like, hey, it happens. I've already gotten national number one. It's off my board. I'm here for the team now. So it was super cool to see. And then I offered him a media vest and he's like, oh, really? Like super stoked. I'm like, yeah, of course, man. Like he does some great stuff on the media side too, but man, what a good kid. I mean,
yeah, like total professional, and he's still racing amateur. Like that mindset. Like there's people in the pro class who were going out in early rounds. Well, I don't want to say throwing a fit, but like people who don't handle it as well. And there's a lot of things that factor into that, like how you're feeling, how you're coming into things. But Sean, like coming in with like insane points, leading the title chase, and then going out in such a silly way and uncharacteristic way for him to just kind of turn around, shrug it off, and just be like, well, all right, cool. What do I do now? So
right.
I was really, really impressed with his mindset to that. And like in the moment, he was very angry about it. Yeah. But he shrugged it off so quickly and so well that it was really impressive and speaks a lot to his character and his mindset on racing and things like that. So
yes, super mature way to deal with it. And even more mature, when I rolled up to him, he just had like a black coffee in a styrofoam cup, like ready to like read the morning news article. Like super old man. He was talking about the truck that he's gonna buy and fix up. I'm like, yeah, you got a good head on your shoulders, man.
Yeah, he's got a cool truck too.
Yeah, well, he got hit. Passenger side of his truck got hit, got totaled, so he has got a little bit of a paycheck for that to fix it up. I don't think he's ditching it yet, but yeah, he's got another truck on his wish list. So,
oh, bummer. I know I talked to him a while back about it. He's like, yeah, dude, it's like my dream truck. I'm super stoked that I found this thing. I'm gonna build it up and do all this stuff. And oh, what a bummer. It reminds me, Riley Stair had a truck that was a race car.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was BMXers and trucks, man. Doesn't always work. That truck went. I don't need to bring that story up for him. He still got it though.
Really? Still has it.
Yeah, still got that truck.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, obviously Sean Day went out. Another title contender, the defending champ, Alexis Alden, went out in, I believe, quarter semis. I don't know. It's all kind of a blur.
I think it was semis. Yeah, because I shot semis from that last turn there. So yeah, that's when it happened.
Yeah. I mean, a gutter for her, but also for her, she was stoked for, her Georgia girl, Sadie, who was still up for the title. And obviously Sadie went on to win, and we'll talk about that. But another racer that really is just like, you know what, it happens. Wasn't my year. Gearing up for the future. Like it's cool to see these amateurs. Like, yes, they're at the top of their sport. They've won the titles. They've had those accolades, but they're still like, you know what, it's fine. We're racing kid bikes. I'm gonna race another day. We're fine.
Yeah, I hope that it's a sign of the sport not taking itself too seriously. Like I can famously rant on how frustrated I've been with how everyone takes things too seriously now, uh, and can reference back how accurate or not it is. But like the sport got significantly more serious with the Olympics, and it's really cool to see these younger riders who are fans of their competitors, of their friends, like in the gate next to them, or in different age groups or on different teams and things like that. It's really cool to see riders that are just excited for somebody to do well, because it's so easy to be just a salty old man about it and be like, no, I didn't win. Nah. Like it's really cool to see people who are just excited for everybody. Like you're a competitor in the gate, but as soon as you cross that line, we're all going to the same cities. We're all basically in the same hotels. We're all doing the same thing. We see each other all over the country or the planet for these races, and we are friends. Like, so it's cool to see that support coming through in some of these top amateurs that are supporting so much in other ways.
Yeah, definitely. Well, man, into those titles. The Rockstar Rift Tangent Landon goes back to back for the cruiser title. Great lap between her and Lily. Lily got a little wild on that triple going into turn one, little spicy,
Yeah.
but held on to it. I mean, the my favorite part about that is like I would have fully pulled brake. Like I'm off in the infield, pull brake, I'm done. Lily's like, no, I got contact. I'm gonna slot in where I can and get it going. Landon passed her down the second straight and second turn into her third cruiser titles, but second in a row. Man, I mean, Landon's special on that 24-inch. I know she's hunting for that 20-inch title too, the next couple of years. But how about that 6, 7, 8 gate, random gate for the Tangent girls?
That was so I do a lot of work with Tangent, so I one of the moms told me about that, and so I was like, oh cool, like I'll go over there, and like in my head I'm like, this is an ad, I'll go shoot this easy, like just slam dunk this one. I mean, unfortunate for the three of them to get grouped together, but I mean that's how it goes sometimes. And I went over there and set up thinking there would be like everybody kind of coming over together. Gate drops and Landon was gone. It's like, oh, okay, I'll get two shots here then, because I'll get Landon and then Danica and Chase, when I did. But I was blown away by how just down to business Landon was, and just like, I'm going to get this. I'm coming over, and like you said, if I was Lily and got bumped off like that, I would infield lock it up. Like my lap's done. So if that's the amount of like presence of mind she has on the track, that is going to be dangerous as she gets older and a little bit more experienced and stronger as everything happens. Because like she's a solid rider already. She's fighting Landon for it. So if she's got that kind of track awareness, that's going to be a very very impressive trait to have for all of her racing going forward. I would have totally been like, nah, done. That's dang. Tried, should have gotten there. Whatever. But she stuck it in there and kept it going.
Yeah, and then she went right back for their 14X class main and got the win over Landon. Like, I mean, what a lap for the 20-inch. My favorite part about probably all of the amateur mains was watching that 14X class sky out that second straight. Like, that step up and double and then jumping into the turn. Some of them were manual into the turn. Like, that was probably the coolest, of the girls club. That was the coolest moment. But then of all the grands, watching the like 3 or 4 of them sky it out together was so cool.
Take it upstairs Tuesday.
Yeah, take it up. Shout out Elise.
Yeah, it's cool to see like over the years like that skill is like it's working its way to a younger and younger age group. Like there's like 8X's that are like we got like Marshall Warner
Yeah.
or Skylar Despopoulos. Like these kids are just ridiculously talented at like very young ages. So it's really cool to see the girls who are historically not as adept at manually and jumping getting better at this stuff at a younger age. So it's just going to make it that much deeper and more difficult in that women's pro class as they come up into it.
Yeah, definitely. The yeah, so then Landon wins her cruiser title. Going into the boys, Danny Waters from the Answer crew. I mean, he's been on the top side of that title contender for pretty much all season. Maybe there was a little bit of a switch in the summer months, but he locked that down pretty much from the jump. And he's another one. Like I haven't talked to him a lot, but he's a cowboy wearing, bike riding son of a gun. I mean, he's just a cool dude. And he's a part of that Answer family, Answer S squared family. So that really, for my job, makes it easier because he's a sponsored rider for a team that supports the series and the magazine. So I'm excited for his year next year to do some content with him. But another one that just like laid down a hell of a lap.
Yeah, I also don't know him too well. Truth be told, I don't know many of the amateurs that well because I'm just old and don't know all these kids coming up. But really, the ones I do know are because I have ridden with them at the local track or they're on the tangent team where I work with them a lot. But it's really rad to see like and kind of to the same thing as like I was saying about like Alexis and Sean being really excited and fans of this. It's like I'm seeing a lot of there being like a cultural shift in some of these teams where like Answer is really feeling like more of a family, and like all the teams are becoming more cohesive, I guess. Like
Yeah.
they're really putting this together, and it's cool to see the support that they're putting together over there and taking titles and stuff like that. So I'm excited to get to know Danny. I don't know him really at all, so I don't have much to say to his personality or anything like that, but he seems like a good kid and spoke well on the stage. So excited to see him more and try to document some of it. So
Yeah. And I mean a golden moment from that title presentation where Cody Young gave over his plate, got the mic, and goes, "Good luck, man. Next year it's mine." It's like, oh, okay.
yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, that's cool. And Cody's another one of those like little rippers who like I was walking out from the media tent at some point and his like quarter or eighth something goes by and he just styling out, jumping through that third straight and right in front of my face. And it's like, wow, okay, like I don't think I could hit it that clean. And this kid's really good. So yeah, I love the confidence that with that sort of thing. So like there's a lot of personality coming through. I think this year, especially at Grands, was like showing with a lot of these riders, and I'm excited for all of this. I know I'm saying I'm excited for all of this, but like the sport feels like it's going in the right direction, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, to cap us off, we have 3 titles going to the Full Tilt crew. First with Sadie Herrera, who she had a gnarly crash in, not a gnarly one, but enough of a crash in NAC 5 Challenge in that second turn to question if she was going to race for grants. I mean, her mobility in her shoulder was completely, screwed going into the race, and she just powered through, got in the main, and then it was 8-7, 2 and 1 all had a shot at the title at their main event. And I kind of looked at it like, oh man, like if any one of these girls gets out fast, like it could be any one of them. Like it's up for grabs completely. But Sadie had gate 2, I believe, and went out and just dominated. I mean, from the jump straight to the stripe. It was a cool moment shooting that finish line run out for the experts. Posted up on the fence line and got their reactions, which was cool. But talking to her brother Andrew later, who won a world championship in a cruiser class this year. What a year for the family. But he's like, dude, I was sitting in the grandstands with my dad, immediately started crying when I saw she had gate 2, And then right as she got out, I sprinted all the way down, and he almost beat me to the finish line, like to like get a story. Like he was there really quick. I don't know if he's got like the flash in him or something, but he was moving. But I mean, that was just such a cool story from the Georgia defending to Georgia current racers in that class. But then also, I mean, the Herrera family had a killer year this year. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. It was awesome. And then into Wyatt Wi-Fi, a 12-year-old national number one, which is, I think if BA could pick like one age group to win the national number one amateur class, it's 12 years old. It's flat pedals, about to make the jump to clips. Like that 12-year-old class is our core membership body. So seeing BA like as stoked as everybody that's on the national crew and like close with the family, like seeing him excited about it really got me going of like, oh yes, like yes, this is the future of our sport.
That's awesome. I just was actually the other day having a conversation with somebody about how the title kind of shakes out, where like everybody, and we talked about this with Luke the other day in the office, how you kind of battle all year in all the classes. You battle all year and you get your scores, and then everybody's really close again, because unless you just dominated and won every race and blocked people really from getting their scores, like you're going to go into Grands with a few people with the same points. So Grands is almost like its own, like it decides the title and all your NAG rankings kind of off one race, which is, depending on how you look at it, kind of cool and kind of a bummer if you're like, I had a great year and I just had a bad day. Like that can be a bummer. But so I was kind of brainstorming with a friend and kind of throwing ideas around, and his argument was like, well, we should probably make it like it should only be like these age groups, so it's like the fastest amateur or whatever, or it should be decided by like NAG 5. So we were throwing around ideas on just theorizing things. But it's an interesting perspective that like BA had with like the flat pedals of 12X and that sort of thing. And I don't know the numbers like you guys do of like what the like the general like USA BMX user base is, with like how it breaks down to like 12-year-olds or 16-year-olds or whatever. But that's an interesting perspective, because it's cool to see the younger kids get it. Like Wi-Fi's taller than I am. I was walking behind him and in the like pit area the other day, and it's like, who is this kid? Oh crap, that's him. Yeah. So I mean, big 12-year-old, but it's really cool to see, because they have so much more. Like when you get to like 16, 17, guys are getting into like chasing girls, get a license, they kind of fall off, they get into high school sports potentially, so you lose a lot of people. But somebody like Wyatt's going to be in it for, even if he does get into that sort of thing and get distracted, he's going to be in BMX for another handful of years at least. And that's cool to see, that there can become this kind of like dynasty or create that fun rivalry of like, oh, Wyatt, like we gotta like Cody Young, like I'm coming for it next year, like kind of create those kinds of atmospheres where like it's fun and we get to be a part of it for a few years, rather than just kind of having somebody come in and flash out.
Yeah, and like it's cool I think it's cool for his other 12X, 11, 12, 13X competitors of like, yeah, if I'm in those age groups and like I see 17, 20 taking the title year after year after year, like
yeah,
that could be a little, disheartening. Like, oh my God, I got to wait until I'm 17 and like hope I'm still a top dog. But then you see Wyatt come in, and yeah, it took a little bit of Grand's magic with Sean going out and a couple other people going out, but it's possible. It's in the realm of possibility of like, I'm 12 years old and I could be a national number one amateur for BMX racing. And that's huge, I think. We always talk about, creating heroes and making sure that people have, racers to look up to for years to come. And I think Wi-Fi is on his way to do that. He already got the world champ this year, got the national number one. I mean, what a kid.
Yeah. It's just going to be looking like Jolly out there pretty soon.
Yeah, right. And those two national number ones, their wins also helped Full Tilt get their seventh consecutive factory title, which is gnarly. I mean, that's Jimmy, obviously, Full Tilt had a change of guard in the bike shop with Race taking over. Race and Johnny are doing great things on their side. Jimmy B's just hammering out team sheets still. I mean,
Yeah. I didn't realize that they'd been like, I know they've been dominant for a long time. I didn't realize it was 7 in a row now. And I mean, there's thinking back, there's like some iconic teams over the years that have done that, but I don't know how many any of those teams actually did, especially in a row.
yeah,
Like there's
the one that
Powerlight and GT went back and forth, but I
right,
don't.
the RO Pro Max years and like the
Yep.
Redmond Rockstar team and that kind of era of the late 2000s 2010s, like, but since I've really come back into the sport after racing as a kid and on the media side especially, like, I mean, Full Tilt's that team. Like,
Yeah.
that's the premier factory team. And like there's some other factors of like, obviously Tangent is team and bike of the year for the Golden Cranks. Like they're, a fan favorite. Supercross is always, that factory team of like, be cool, be fast, like just be a stoke heavy crew. And there's a few other ones, but like when you're talking, race day comes down to it, Full Tilt, man. Factory Full Tilt.
They're the ones delivering for the team sheets. And like I had a chance to talk with Johnny a little bit, or go back and forth about the ads we do for the feed and stuff like that, because I do a lot of the ads for Tangent and do like the campaigns for Golden Crank and things like that. But it's cool as Johnny and I were talking about like it's one thing to just like crank out like, here's a product, here's the ad, like that's boring. It's whatever. Like, cool, product might be a little bit sexy or whatever that we're trying to push, but they're out there having so much fun doing it. Like Johnny and Race are standing in puddles or ponds or whatever and putting on the gas cans, having a good time with those and their alter egos, and like they're just having fun. And I think that sort of thing, like I was saying with Answer, like it's the teams are having fun and being themselves. This is what I was seeing with Stay Strong on Monday. Like everybody's happy to be there and happy to be doing what they're doing, and everybody's found their little kind of niche of like, this is who we are, and like we're a little bit different, but like this is our thing. So it's really cool to see these brands kind of rounding out their identity and their image, and it's creating fantastic teams. And with Full Tilt, they've managed to find the one that ends up on the top of the team sheet too, and get those titles. So it's fun to watch, man. It's cool to see. Love seeing the progress and the direction everything's going. Like I've said several times already in this episode.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if it's just recency biased or it's a big year for BMX in the U.S. with international races coming to the States and all these different things. But this Grands, it felt like everyone was just kind of stoked to be at home in Grands and just enjoyed it. Not too many, like usually there's obviously there was some drama. There was a little bit of drama from that practice day that kept going, but I mean, it was a pretty easy Grands. I'm going to skirt around that topic completely. So
yeah, I was wondering if you were going to mention that or not, but yeah, we'll just skip that one. Yeah, it seemed like going into it, I was making jokes about how like, oh yeah, it's going to feel like it's about 6 weeks long, like this, and it's a long week. It is a very long week, especially on the media side, because once racing's done, we've still got to try to get some editing out or try to cram it in between in gaps and stuff. So it's a long week for us, especially, but it ran really smooth. The night show seemed really fast relative to previous years. I think we streamlined the schedule a little bit, probably to push it back and make a little bit of room for long days of racing. Big technical track, a little bit longer, probably more crashes. So that makes a lot of sense. But I would have liked to add a little bit more time that night. But
a little bit more stoke, and that's company wide. I think we have that issue of like just race, not a lot of like hey, let's take a second, like enjoy the fact that we're racing bikes at this level. But the yeah, a few, maybe like one extra 5-minute break in those intermissions just to be like, hey, Tulsa, how's the crowd doing? Like that type of thing would have been
Yeah,
sick.
I turned away from I turned away from the stage at one point and was like, all right, cool, this is done. People are walking off the stage, turn around, and I'm still in the fence of the stage. And the next Nag 5 rack was like going into turn one. It's like, oh, okay, so we're doing this way. Like we're just
We're doing this. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, and like I was so like everything was so quick. I wasn't even keeping tabs on like where the pros were at in their points and their mains, which usually I'm pretty good about knowing where people are at and kind of knowing what's got to happen and things like that. And I was on top of turn two, shooting them coming into the jump into the turn. And I look over to the backside of the hill and was like, oh, there's nobody over here. Was this round three? Are we done? Like just ran it. So yeah, a little bit, like you said, a little bit more stoke, a little bit more like getting everybody excited and keeping everybody updated, I think would have been a little bit helpful. But I mean, really small things in the big picture. The racing was still amazing and everything went well. Selfishly, I would have liked to have a little bit more room for like a bathroom break or something, but it's like we're running all over. Like,
Sunday, I gotta say it's TMI, but Sunday during amateur mains, I snuck out. I snuck out to the bathroom to take a whiz and get a quick 5-minute break. I trusted a fart, and it.
okay.
I mean, I was at the stall. Happened. Ran into I was at the urinal. It happened. Ran into the stall. Cleaned up. Got back on there, and I texted Cody, blowout. I just pooped myself.
Like honestly, that doesn't even surprise me for the Grands week. Like it's so just all over the place. Like during mains, for Grand mains, I was just so tired, and I was like, all right, I think I've got a gap because like most of the riders that I need to shoot are not in this. I think it was cruiser, and I was doing some stuff for 110%, and I was like, luckily I had some time because we're doing the rider intros, and Cuppy was in the cruiser main, and I was sitting there in the stands trying to get people to play ping pong balls and stuff, and I was sitting there and I was like, oh man, I need to shoot him. I could do this, and so I like run down, jumped over the railing of the stands, and fell down to the floor. Ran in, grabbed my vest and my camera, ran across the track, like tested my lights, and I got the shot on the first jump. Like we're just like cramming everything in. Like I was trying to have like a quiet moment of like hanging out with friends and like re-energize myself, and was like, nope, got to go back to it. So I doesn't surprise me at all. I'm surprised I didn't like have a close call with that sort of thing, because caffeine and coffee and everything we've got rolling just to keep us through the week is not healthy.
No, not at all.
Probably had like maybe 4 or 5 bottles of water all weekend. like coffee and energy drinks like all day, and then like maybe some water in the morning, but coffee and energy drinks all day, and then it just like, all right, cool, we're done. Beers. So
right.
like there's water in it somewhere, so I'll be all right, but probably doesn't help why the week is so long. So.
And why our bodies feel so bad the next couple of days. I mean, you saw me on Monday and Tuesday. I was hurt, not even like sick yet. It was just my body was giving up on me.
Oh yeah, like when we first tried to record this, we talked ourselves into 10 different corners, and we were like, so anyway, get back on track. So I'm glad we do this again, so we're a little bit more linear in our conversation. Not really, because we're still too ADD, so whatever. But yeah, I didn't shit myself, so it was a good week for me.
Proud of you. All right, man.
Down by the episode.
That's it. Episode 3, Talkin Tires.
Man,
I got deadline coming up, so I hope to do episode 4 here soon. talking about some random stuff we're excited for next year for 2025. But man, yeah, good grants.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, we talked about the deadline, but I also got the email from Shannon saying, "Hey, do you want your ad in here?" I don't know. I'm just not doing it this time, so good luck. Probably you doing the layout again, so
Yeah.
yeah, I'll probably have to share you the files. Oh, there's some good stuff in there, actually. Yeah, there's a couple that I shot this week that I was like, "Ooh, hey, Rich, I got an ad. Let's save this one."
Nice.
That's always tough, like because I give the writers so much content. It's tough that like when I get like a banger that I'm like like more people will see it if I let you use it, but gotta hold this one so we can do something else with it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, yeah,
Cool, man. All right.
absolutely. Where are we at? How long has this been?
It's been an hour.
Oh, geez. Oh yeah, it has. Look at that.
Cool. All right. I'm wrapping it. We're done.
Yeah, we're
Talking
done.
Tires, episode 3. Peace.
Talk stuff. Sweet.